waste my life. I don't wanna waste my life living in this world.
With the Beatz.
It's just some things, there's no going back. You know what I'm saying?
jwoodbeats.com.
Yeah, I'm not the one with the issues. I hear you. Now here is your tissue. If I'm moving too fast, I might have to dismiss you. And it's really too bad, cause I really will miss you. But I'm not the one with the issues. I left him at church when I made it official. I murdered the curse with my own benediction. Left God in the dirt, call it death of the fiction. Superstition will be served an eviction. Competition will be left in the ditch. Oh my God, it's too damn hot in this kitchen. The fishes of men are now swimming with fishes. Oops, my bad, I guess I'm moving too vicious. Verses sold, I gotta put them on your wish list. Bless my soul, cause I'm dodging your little hit list. I guess you know, you just lost another witness.
Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go right now. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go, I'm out of here. I can do anything, fuck your opinions and energy. I finally got the epitome. My biggest hindrance was God can't do nothing but fail. Greater is me, I never needed your deity. All of this human capacity, when it gets rough, I can pick myself up and prevail. Cause I don't need anything other than people who fuck with me. Good business, it starts with good company. That's why your boy is obsessed with community. Cause greater is we can create opportunity. Doing what God never did, cause a God never could, but a people is all we need. Gotta let it go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go, yeah. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go right now. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go, yeah. Gotta let me go.
What's up, family? Happy Sunday. So great to have you all back with us. Of course, welcome to BridgeCity Global. BridgeCity is a group of people from all over the globe who are committed to building community beyond superstition. My name is DaranteLaMar, and I'm so glad that you're here with us for another weekend of Sunday sessions. Since March of this year, our community has grown from 52 to over 6,100 subscribers across 6 continents. And so whether you're watching us alone right now with a friend or with a group, we invite you to participate in these transformative conversations with us as we work together as a community to connect over personal exploration and global elevation. And actually, if you are watching with a group, if you're hosting a watch party, if you're watching on the server, let us know in the chat. We definitely want to recognize you because we appreciate that hard work of helping us build community beyond superstition. And speaking of community, if you happen to get here early on Sundays, consider dropping in on our pre-session meet and greets in Discord to get to know some of our awesome community members. And if you haven't already, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the alert notification bell. Check out the poll in the chat to let us know if you're a first-time guest or a regular, and consider joining, supporting, or connecting with this channel, content, or community in any way that makes sense for you. Oh yeah, and don't forget to share this video. This would actually be a perfect time to share the video because we're just getting started. We're still in the introduction. We got some news to go. So let's get some people in here. Go ahead and get this video shared. And then last but not least, check out our merch and our books. And we'll drop that link in the chat for you. And of course, before we move on to our next segment of the section, if you find this community and these conversations valuable, will you take the moment? Oh, I guess I did this. Take the moment to share this stream so that it reaches someone who might be in some sincere need of secular community this weekend. And if you just shared this, will you let us know by typing in the chat, I shared this. That's an easy way to let us know that you added just major value to this community growing. And of course, we've been talking about that big doors swing on small hinges. It's the wax on and the wax off. And so when you don't feel like you can do much, there are small things that we can all do that are powerful for a building community. And of course, if we don't see you before then, Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's. Yes, yes, yes. And thanks again for joining us today. I'm going to deliver the BridgeCity news for this weekend. And of course, I'm Darnaya Darice, and we're so happy to have you. First and foremost, whether this is your first time or if you've been here for a long time, and I love that rhyme. I don't know what it is. I love it. But whatever it is, however long you've been with us, let us know where you're watching from at any point in the video that you come in and jump in with us today. Let us know. Our community is intentional by identifying hubs of support so that we can continue to accelerate the work of building community beyond superstition. All right. Yeah. Also, if you haven't already, consider getting involved with one or more of our online groups to expand your personal development and community experience. And if you don't see a group that reflects your interests or needs, that's in Discord, we have so many options for you. Yes. Go ahead and reach out to Dale Gray, advocating for humanity. You'll see him in the chat from time to time, and we'll work to get you supported in those areas that interest you and get those resources for you to launch a new group. All right. And if you're not doing anything on Wednesdays, man, come join us around 5 p.m. Central Time. We have Bible study with the I'm getting ahead. No, that's right. Bible study. There's so many ex-pastor stuff. Yeah, I get it. We have Bible study with the ex-pastor and our community host. We host a secular Bible study. It's fun. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna get some moments. You may learn a little bit. It's just a load of fun. We're currently in the book of Leviticus, which is always interesting to pull. And each week you say, I think I hate that book, man.
I hated that book. It was not fun to read.
Yes. So if you have a little free time, consider joining us. We'd love to see you in the chat on Wednesday. And by the way, Bible Study with the Ex-Pastor is on Spotify.
We are out here.
Yes. Go ahead and support there as well. All right. And if you don't know, you're about to know. It's that time again. The Ex-Pastor Calling Show is coming up on the top of the year. Yes.
It came back quick.
Yes. And I can't wait. January 5th, 2025. Be ready for it. Live at 5 p.m. also.
Yes, indeed.
Central Time. So meet us there next Sunday evening. All right. And we are looking to come to Raleigh in the spring of 2025. That's in North Carolina. If you're in the North Carolina area, come support, come hang with us, come see us. If you're anywhere near there, interested in supporting, let us know in the chat. We'll give you some links where you can support, because we did create a crowdfunding page for those interested in supporting the event financially. We rolled out some new merch, so excited about, so that you can also support that way and support the merch. All right. And for those of you who are interested in playing a part in planning, managing, or even participating in the event, we rolled out a new Discord channel called BC Raleigh. Let's get it popping there. Let's get it started and get it planning. So we're going to drop some links so you can support any way you can, whether it's digitally, financially, locally, just spreading the news, buying the merch. We'll greatly appreciate that.
And I do just want to call out the designs on the merch a little bit because in April, we'll be in our Happy Little Accidents series. This is what the design for that looks like. And we actually added hats to this one. So that's going to be cool. And then also, for those who want to specifically support the Raleigh event, we came up with this really creative design for Raleigh. And so this is just BridgeCity Raleigh. And so this is for those who are looking for a way to support the BridgeCity Weekends event coming to Raleigh. You can do so by purchasing merch. That will help. That'll show you support. That'll also give us a head count. You can also do so by supporting crowdfunding, and we'll put both of those links in the chat for you, which I think they already are in the chat. So great job, team. And so that's awesome. And so I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'll stop interrupting. There was something else I was going to interrupt with, and I don't remember what it was. Oh, okay. So since I'm already interrupting, I will interrupt with this as well. We're also planning some new content, if you will, just some new shows or new special shows that we'll be rolling out. So as many of you know, I've been participating in a documentary since May of this year. And so we wrapped up production on that documentary. So sometime in the month of January, we're trying to wrap that date down. I'm going to be having everybody from that documentary, or the cast from that documentary rather, to come join me on the show, and we're going to talk about it. And basically the name of the documentary is Heathens. It's done by the same people who did Afghan Dreamers. If you've never seen the documentary Afghan Dreamers, I highly suggest you go check it out. I promise you it would speak volumes to you. But it's the same production company that did that, that is putting this together. And the whole idea is to shine light on people who have deconverted or deconstructed from religion and are living proudly as heathens. No, but it was incredibly fun, incredibly impactful. There are going to be some really emotional moments in it from everybody in the cast. And of course, I had to go back to LA in December because we ended up doing some music along with this as well. So when I bring the cast on the show with us, I'll be talking to them about that as well. And we'll be talking about the whole experience. So that's going to be fun.
There's some great people you able to meet.
Yes, man. These which of course y'all have already met. Alan Coffey, AT Coffey. He was on the Ex-Pastor call-in show with us last time when I had the bigger group, the older gentleman. Absolutely phenomenal brother, a friend of my mind. He and I got to spend a lot of time together this last time in LA. And so like I'm excited, and that's going to be exciting. But then also, when Jason and I was doing Bible study with an ex-pastor for the book of Exodus, he and I both started talking about possibly putting together a show just for he and I to come and talk about what it's like pulling content together, what it's like being a content creator on YouTube, how to make the most out of your content, how to do things excellence without excess, how not to get caught up in what everybody else says you have to have, because people will tell you it has to have this, it has to have this, and if it doesn't have this, and the only thing that it really has to have is you. And so Jason and I are going to spend some time also likely in the month of January on a Sunday evening for anybody who's passionate about taking their content creation to the next level, or just asking questions and getting some answers. So it's going to be great. Obviously, Jason is going to be the one talking to you from a production quality aspect. I'll be the one talking to you from a content quality aspect. And so we'll flow with it from there. And quantity. Oh, for sure. Because like, can't nobody outwork me. I'm gonna outwork the work, which is probably why I'm sitting here with my back hurting right now. That's probably
hanging in there.
Yes. All right, I'm done interrupting.
Well, we appreciate that, and I did see Easy said to Meg, aka Cherry, was always looking at the bucket hat. You know,
yes, I'm telling you, it's
safe travels on your move, and thank you, Infidel, for that good appreciation and compliment. We definitely appreciate it.
I can't read none of them, y'all. So y'all forgive me. Please don't think I'm ignoring you. I am blind as all get out, and we've changed our setup here. And so I've got to find a way to accommodate for that.
No. And with that being said, with everything going on, if you would like to join the rotation of Weekend Warriors, we definitely need you, okay? And would love to have you to make these sessions possible. Thank you to those who are already helping out behind the scenes and in the chat. We end it on Discord. We definitely appreciate that. So if you have around 3 hours to spare on a Sunday or Wednesday to contribute, consider joining. You can type "I'll help" in the chat. We'll drop a calendar link in the chat as well. You can get access to Discord if you're not already in there. And basically, you just go to a Sunday or Wednesday that you can help and just sign up.
And it's not very difficult because we're not, the work that we do, you're not really at risk of harming anybody. So we don't put you through like a long 6-week training program to be able to help. So there really isn't a waiting period. If you want to help and you just decide the Sunday but I think I want to help this Sunday. All right, just holler at us and let us know. We'll be here because I don't think we ever gonna say no to help. I don't think we ever gonna say no to help. And just speaking of help, there are so many different ways that you can help. And that's just speaking of community economics. One of those, we have so many different types of teams: response teams, host teams, fire starter teams, or just part of the host teams, which you'll hear. I'm gonna talk about fire starters a little bit later on. But there are so many ways to help. And that's one of the things that we really want to stress in this series of dealing with community economics is that you will be surprised, which I think we kind of stress this in the Do the Work series too. You could be surprised how small things have exponential value. And so I know a lot of people think, man, how can I help? I don't have the time. If you have the time to be here on Sundays, on any Sunday, you could spend some of that time helping, and some of you, and I think this was something that Muttley ended up finding out when I, got him on in here, is that some of the things we needed were things that he was already doing.
Yeah.
And so it's just adding that extra intent to it, knowing that, oh yeah, okay, I didn't know this helped. I was just being nice. Yes, being in the chat, being nice to people, it helps, because you have no idea how many chats that are filled with jerks and jackasses. Yeah. And so just like not being a jackass is immensely valuable.
Oh, you don't see on the call, the Ex-Pastor call. We'll add that. You can, if you're available next weekend.
It's not on the thing.
No, we'll add it in.
Yeah, it's not on the form. Yeah, is that what it is?
Listed on yeah. On the volunteer calendar.
Oh, on the volunteer calendar. Oh, okay, the new one I made. Okay, yeah. All right. I think I know what to do there.
Yeah, we'll add there. So thank you for that, Alyssa. We appreciate you as well.
Alyssa's awesome.
Yes, and those are just some ways you can get involved. If you're looking to dive in a little more, we do have resources and guide that you can check out on to get more information on what we need, what we're looking for, things of that nature. Also, next Saturday and every first Saturday going into 2025, in Discord, we have what we call BridgeCity Dreaming Community Development Series. And so you can join those discussions. We share some more information on what our aim is, our goals, what we need, and things of that nature. And it goes into a better deep dive. And Darante has been doing so well with putting together some e-booklets that are quick and easy to read. It's really just big font. So we have so many things that you can use and refer to. So we have that. And and let me see. Is that it? All right. And if you all have any other upcoming events that you want to mention for 2025 or anything further along there, just let us know and we'll be happy to mention that as well. We do have a Promote Your Stuff channel in Discord, and you can use the hashtag BridgeCity News to let us know there. All right.
Yep. Awesome. All right. So I think we're about ready to get this party started.
Yeah.
I think I feel better enough to sit up a little bit. I am having like extreme back pain today. So bear with me. So speaking of which, normally, or it's become a norm around here to do the BridgeCity music aspect, which I was actually excited about doing this week, because I was actually going to take a song that has somewhat, when you hear the word, you think it's negative. But the way I interpreted it, it was just like, oh, this is one of the most beautiful songs that I like, which that I've heard, because I like hard to love songs, right? Like there's a song called Hard to Love by an artist named Hamza. And she's just describing herself like, I know it, sometimes I may come off complicated, and all of that stuff. And I know it may be hard, hard to love, but thank you for being patient in that. And that was more overtly beautiful. Yeah. This one was more covertly beautiful. It's like the lyrics were, you shouldn't love me. Don't waste your time. I'm way too fucked up to feel, Go find somebody who's worth, who's just as kind. I'm mean and shallow. You'll see. What I've heard around here will confirm my fears. You see yourself in my arms, but you won't get far with this cold, cold heart. Dang, what is it? You won't get far with this cold, cold heart. It's something I can't give you, something I can't find. Oh, that's like, you won't get far with this cold, cold heart. I can't give you something I can't find. So I've been searching for a feeling, haven't found it yet. Hope I don't regret it. I've been searching for a feeling. I've got every reason to feel. Tell me you want me. Tell me you need me to love you. And when I thought about those lyrics,
poetry.
It is poetry. But that's ultimately, after sitting in, and this isn't today's subject. This is, if we would have did the musical aspect, this would have been my little spiel that I would have given before the song. So nobody would be like, damn, is he trying to depress us? But just after being in many counseling sessions, I find out that ultimately that's one of the most honest cries of one human being to another, is you shouldn't love me. Like, most people are afraid to be loved. Most people are afraid of letting someone down. Most people are afraid of of not being able to meet the standard. And that's what that whole song is about. That whole song is this person honestly kind of pouring out their humanity in a way that's almost, it's definitely over the top. It's like, I'm way too fucked up to feel. But like, we are dramatic like that. That's stuff that we really say, and that's shit that we really feel about ourselves, especially when we go through hard times. But the refrain of the song was, tell me you want me and tell me you need me to love you. That's sometimes that twofold angle that many of us wrestle with. It's not only wanting to be wanted, but it's also knowing that you need me to love you. That's that human relationships. But my back hurts too bad to be standing up behind a keyboard. And actually my work schedule kind of got a little haywire this week because I got inspired by this Raleigh ideal. I got inspired by four on-sites throughout the year: Raleigh, Detroit or Chicago, Portland, and LA or San Francisco. And so that has really occupied a lot of my time. And even yesterday I started thinking, I was like, you know what I think we've had a significant amount of growth. We have enough social proof to where we may be able to find some partners who will endorse, support, and contribute to the work that we're doing, so that we can accelerate and do some just absolutely phenomenal things next year. But speaking of which, now it's time to get into the BridgeCity conversation of the day, Sunday sessions. And I'm like, man, I'm so okay. So just because I've started talking about it, I'm excited, right? Yeah. Like, I cannot wait till April, and we're in Raleigh, North Carolina, surrounded by BridgeCity supporters that we've never actually seen in person, as well as other secular communities in that area, including Sunday Assembly Chapel Hill, the Secular Student Alliance. I think there's the Triangular Free Thought Triangle Alliance there. It's going to be phenomenal. I mean, we're going to have Bible study with an ex-pastor. We're going to have a post-faith house party. We're going to have the Sunday sessions. We're going to be doing this live. And my goal is, when we do this for the 4 on-sites this year, when we take BridgeCity weekends on the road, that we're going to have full music when we do this. So it's going to be an experience out of this freaking world. So I'm excited about it. And that just gave me a little bit of energy. Either that or the medicine is kicking in. So we'll see. So last week we started a new series entitled Human Economics. And I'm truly excited about this because this is the first series we've launched as a community that has the support of our very own research team, which was a big part of our Big Five for 2025. What baby girl said, we are immersing ourselves in for the first quarter of 2025 to make sure that we have a stronger experience. One of those things that I was really pushing for. Well, actually, I wasn't even pushing for it. It was just on the list. I put it on the list reluctantly because I didn't think we'd find any people in our community who were interested in the research aspect of helping out. And Alyssa, man, came in clutch and just like not only gave me just a whole bunch of information, but then continued to add information, put it in a guide for me. It was absolutely beautiful. It was absolutely helpful. And that's what community is about. It's finding the things that already interest you and finding out how to do those things in service of a larger group. You know what I'm saying? In a way that doesn't inconvenience you too much. You know?
It's something you're already in the flow.
Something you're already in the flow of. And this is why I do stress, when people join our community, they're like, I don't know what to do yet. And I'm like, all right, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You will find your flow. Stick around, hang around a little bit. Trust me, I'm going to throw enough stuff out there, where you'll eventually find something that fit. But then also don't even wait for us to figure something out. You might be able to figure something out. You may be able to say, it'd be really cool if our community had this. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. My role as lead community developer doesn't mean that everything has to come through me. We are not a hierarchical community. We're not a community based on authority. We're a community based on responsibility. All right? We value accountability over authority. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's good. We value accountability over authority. So in this series, our goal has been to explore how humanity has historically wrestled with economic challenges and the different types of solutions and systems that have emerged as a result of that wrestling. Our big point of focus will be on how we, as a growing community, define and engage community economics from a humanist worldview, highlighting principles of self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, and creativity. And if you are in the know, if you know, you know, Abari Ghani.
Yes. So today's purpose is to explore the power of collective work and shared responsibility in creating economic resilience. Okay. And so if we're lucky, we're going to get to spend some time highlighting historical and contemporary examples of cooperative efforts. But the big point will be that people and the work we do together is the most valuable commodity of economic systems. So as we stressed last week, economics isn't just an understanding of money, because contrary to popular belief, money has no agency, right? Without the value that people place on it, it's absolutely useless, right? So when it comes to items that are socially constructed, tangible or otherwise, people are the value makers. Money as a form of currency is an excellent tool, but it is not only a tool that we as humans have at our disposal, right? It's not the only tool there. Because just as with meaning and value, we are the tool makers. Anything that we're struggling with that only exists within the confines of social reality is absolutely subject to the work that we are willing and able to do. And I love that because this highlights that anything that we're doing or using, it had to involve us in it.
Absolutely.
In the process, right?
Absolutely. Well, see, I love the words. I love the words that were used. That we are the value makers, right? Which this is a throwback to when we were going through our series on motivation and drive. We talked about us being the meaning makers. Today, and we're learning about us being value makers, but also being reminded that we are the tool makers. And it's something that I've been reminding people of ever since I've deconverted, is that, a workman who blames his workmanship, it's no good. You're blaming your tools when you could do better with your tools. You know what I'm saying? But it's very important that we understand that we are the tool makers, and that anything that exists within the confines of a social reality is absolutely subject to the work that we are able and willing to do. If it is a social construct, we have a damn near omnipotent impact on it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So to that effect, today we're not talking about making money. Today we're talking about building bridges. Will you help us generate some engagement in the chat by typing building bridges? Just go ahead and type building bridges in the chat. Let's go ahead and get that thing sparking, because we found out, because this is still this is a part of community economics. This is a part of community economics. Just generating engagement in the chat are the small things that we can do as community members. Did mine go in? I pressed it too. I typed it. There we go. Building bridges. It's a small thing that we can do. And this, I'm going to stress this as long as I can until people get the value of doing small things, because then we'll begin to realize that some of the things we're not getting out of life, some of the things we're not getting out of community is because we're not doing small things. And in this case, we're talking about economics, and literally your engagement in the chat generates an economy for this channel. And if you really love this community, there is a role that we have that we haven't got filled yet. It's a role that multiple people can fill, but it's called fire starters. We desperately need some fire starters for our live shows. And those are people who will go ahead and get the fire started in the comment sections, because we be going off in the chats, and y'all do such an excellent job. Like I biggie sized the chat on my side so I can kind of see the engagement.
The image.
I love the images, right? Yes, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. Yes, damn it. That's how you do that shit. But if any of you got that fire starter kind of spirit on you, I wish you would go and do that in the comments as well, because that lets people know that something was going down in the house. Our engagement during the live, it feeds the algorithm just while we're streaming. Once we're no longer streaming, that engagement doesn't do as much for us after that. But if people have commented on the video during the live or immediately after the live, it empowers us to keep getting on in there. Yes, I love it. Yes. Come on now.
So once the video is over, come back and post it again.
That's it. That's how I love that. See, there we go. We just got our fire starter right there. We just got us a fire starter. I got one. Can I get another? No, let's stop. Oh man. Oh, y'all are beautiful. It's so fun to come hang with y'all every weekend, man. I love this. Like, I am literally sitting here in pain, man. And it's a lot of pain, but y'all make it work. This is beautiful. So last week we discussed the evolution of economics and the importance of self-determination. We define self-determination as the power or ability to make decisions for oneself without external influence, especially in the context of economic agency, while highlighting that this is critical for fostering autonomy, empowerment, and a sense of ownership within a community. I didn't mean to be doing the Barack like pauses at this moment. Community, right? In a poetic twist, one of the societies we used as an example had real world connections to Muttley, which I thought was super cool. Yeah. I had no clue. Like, and I guess that's the weird thing. I got arrested for a fire. That's awesome. You know, I knew we were kindred spirits. I knew it. Remember when I almost burnt down our whole yard? Oh, yikes. But no, I thought it was super cool because that's one of the beautiful things about being a global community, is that when I was a pastor, there's no way in the world, when I was back in the days when I was pastoring, then if I would have pulled that little tidbit about the Rochdale Society, that anybody in my church would be like, oh yeah, I know about them. And Mother, you can let me know if I'm pronouncing it right, because I don't know if it's Rochdale, Rockdale. It could be so many different things. You never know. Oh man.
No, I love that.
Okay, I'm gonna want to know that story, Muttley. I'm gonna want to know that story.
So many fires.
Right? We're fire starters around here. That was one of my favorite movies. Awesome.
And so we also introduced a resource entitled Economics for Humans by Julie Nelson, and spent quite a bit of time sharing some of the concepts within that. The book argues for reintegration of ethics into economics, emphasizing that economies are created and sustained by human choices, all right, which are inherently value-laden. And Nelson challenges the belief that economic growth automatically serves the common good, advocating for a more holistic perspective. And I love that. So today we want to introduce a new resource, courtesy of our research team, Alyssa.
Which we'll drop these in the Discord.
Yeah, we'll drop these in Discord, these links.
I did create a new channel in Discord called Sunday Sessions. So every time we drop resources from our Sunday Sessions, where we're going to put those at is the link in Discord. So you'll be able to, or we'll put them in that channel in Discord so that you can not only have them, but build conversations around them with other members in the community.
It's another way to get on Discord.
It's another reason to get in there. Like, what are you waiting on?
And that resource for today will be the Human Economy, a Citizen's Guide. All right. And one of the most compelling thoughts that we found within the guide was the assertion of 4 standards as to what determines if an economic system is truly human. All right. And so these are the author's words, and we're going to list the 4. In order to be human, the economy must have at least 4 things. 1, it is made and remade by people. Economics should be of practical use to us all in our daily lives. All right. So it must be made and remade by people. 2, it should address a great variety of particular situations in all their institutional complexity. 3, it must be based on a more holistic conception of everyone's needs and interests. And finally, 4, it has to address humanity as a whole and the world society we are making.
Now, that's something I absolutely loved, and I kind of fell in love with it as soon as I saw it. And just kind of even reading the words, like, and these are from the authors, and it's several authors who put this guide together. And again, this is a resource we will be sharing in the Discord. Is Gene Keith Hart, Louis Laville, and Antonio Catani. And their idea is, they say, in order for any economic system to be human, it has to have these four things. It must be these four things at the very least. And so we're going to dive into into deep detail, or not deep detail. We'll dive into detail on each of these. But the first one is it is made and remade by people. Economics should be a practical use to us in to us all in our daily lives. And I think this is one of the reasons, and I don't know if this is my neuro spicy or what, but I know this is what made education very difficult for me. Like, I could pass the classes, but none of my teachers really liked me. And it's because, like, I had questions that they're like, you're not supposed to have these questions. Because so many things were presented as abstract and unmovable and things. These are just the way things just is. And, and I don't understand, like, how is it just is? That doesn't even sound like a complete sentence to me. Nothing just is. There's these causal relationships, until we get down to all the way to the bottom. So, I need to understand these things. And just that first point that I have never understood. I've always struggled with, if people are the ones who made it, why can't people remake it?
Remake it,
You know what I'm saying?
Best, yeah.
And so, like, this is why, like, I even, like, okay, this is gonna make me sound a little weird. Like, I have a problem with the Constitution that's not progressive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, a Constitution that can't be remade. It needs to be remade. Like, I don't want to be stuck to what somebody said 200 years ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just like, honestly, I don't want to be stuck to something somebody said 10 years ago.
Right.
Just especially when you consider the expanse of knowledge. But that's always been a struggle for me, like, real talk. But this point emphasizes that the economy isn't some abstract, impersonal force. It's a product of human actions, decisions, and relationships. If economics is genuinely human, it has to be relevant and beneficial to real people navigating daily challenges, instead of bowing to economic laws as if they're beyond our control. We can see that we shape and reshape the marketplace through our work, consumption, and cooperation. And so, just to pull a famous tagline from BridgeCity Conversations, it's not the market, it's the people, stupid. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is. Yes, thank you for the super chat. We 100% need organic constitutions. Yes, man. And so when people recognize their agency in constructing the economy, they can design systems that serve communities rather than yield to an invisible hand dictating outcomes we passively accept.
Yeah.
So again, it's not the market, it's the people. You want the economy to change, the people needs to change. You want the government to change, the people need to change. Anytime I hear a person complaining about what their government is doing while not telling me what they're planning to do about it, I already know I'm talking to a powerless person.
Yeah.
And I know that I can work for you, but I can't work with you. So I gotta say that again. And because I'm not here to complain, I'm here to construct.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Oh my goodness. So, and that's what I love about this, is this reminder isn't what we throw to other people. This reminder is what we give ourselves. This is the reminder of what we give ourselves. What we give ourselves is that if it needs to change, I can play a role in changing it.
Yeah.
So that if an economic system is to be human, it must be made and remade by people. And it should be of practical use to us all in our daily lives. All right. Let's go to the next one. It should address a great variety of particular situations in all their institutional complexity. Human societies are not uniform.
as we see, right?
They are not uniform.
Yeah.
They're woven from countless distinct local contexts, institutions, and cultural norms. So an economy that's truly okay. I have to address this in the chat. I can't. I was trying to overlook it, but y'all kept going with it, so I have to. I have a problem when people tell me they have a problem with churches not being taxed, because I just feel like that's a red herring. When people say that if churches were taxed, there would be fewer churches, I honestly want to tell you, you have no clue what you're talking about. Because many of the churches that do the most harm have actually already removed their own tax nonprofit status. And those are the Southern Baptist churches. Most of them completely, they pay taxes for the ability to get involved in politics. So it's really a red herring. If churches stop paying taxes tomorrow, how the fuck would that change anything about your reality? It's not. This. I don't like that, because that is punitive. That is saying, here are people that believe something that I don't believe. Let's punish them. Churches are not taxed just because they have a religious belief. They are not taxed because they meet a public good. They are not taxed because they are membership-based organizations. Churches are not the only institutions that are not taxed in this country. So I really wish the secular community would get off that bandwagon, because it's a non-starter. There are, number one, a high percent of churches that are already taxed by choice. You know what I'm saying? But the reason many churches are not taxed is so that they could do the things that they do. And until the secular community is actually beating the church at meeting local goods, at helping people pay bills, at feeding folk, I don't want to hear that bullshit. It's hypocritical to me. It's hypocritical. It's like, hey, let's take these organizations that are feeding people and let's tax them because they don't believe what we want them to believe. That makes no sense. Unless you're going to start taxing all of the schools, unless you're going to start taxing all of the Shriners clubs, unless you're going to start taxing all of the country clubs. Like, no, let's libraries. Yes. Let's get associated with tax codes and why they exist before we jump on other people's bandwagon arguments, you know? Because, and the thing is, like, I don't care if they're taxed or not. And that's my whole point. If they are taxed, they would not do any, if they are taxed, that wouldn't do shit. That wouldn't change shit. The damage that would do is to the fucking members, because then that would mean none of their giving is fucking tax deductible. We're not thinking this shit through, man. You're not thinking that shit through. I promise you he didn't. I can promise you he didn't purchase them each with in the form of cash. Retired owning non-rental properties. Not from tithes and offerings. He could have paid them from his salary now, you know. But again, that stuff is anecdotal. That's anecdotal. If you have a problem with wealth, then just have a problem with wealth. You know what I'm saying? To highlight that in just on the church is being hypocritical, disingenuous, petty, and childish. If you don't like wealth, just don't like wealth. Get mad at anybody who owns non-rental properties. You know, if you're not going to be the people who are in those churches helping those people get their money back, then you're being a fucking hypocrite. You're just being a child throwing a tantrum. And I'm sorry, y'all. There's no power in that. There's no power in that. I've seen so many anecdotal stories that people tell that are absolute lies. And the thing is, even if they were true, it wouldn't mean shit. Yeah. It wouldn't mean shit. So it's like, no, if you're going to want something to happen in this country, want something to happen that actually means some shit. Oh, I wish the churches were taxed. I wish we didn't have homeless people. Care about some shit that actually matters. I wish children didn't have to starve. You know, like, damn, y'all. I'm sorry. I don't like that shit. And my back is hurting. So I'm agitated, which I guess today is Sunday. I'm always snapping. But y'all know I love y'all. But no, like, I'm not telling y'all not to have that as your gripe, but you probably, the 4 elements, right? But you probably want to, when y'all have that gripe, put it on somebody else's channel, because I'm always going to say something. Y'all know it. Y'all would know it. He likely was. He could have been. But my question is, what are you going to do about it? Like, you saying it, what does it do? You know? Like I said, I don't think most people have a fair enough nuance. The person who is believing that if they give all their money to the church, they're going to get lucky with God is just as much as a con artist as the person who's telling them that shit. They just suck at being a con artist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's why this conversation is important, because we're talking about collective work.
Collective work. Collective work.
People coming together to.
Community is about what we're doing, not about what other people do.
Yeah.
Why would you be in a conversation about what you could do and be talking about what other people are doing?
Yeah.
This is the basis of conversations in the secular community right now. Is everybody's talking about what the people who don't care about the stuff you want, talking about them not doing it. Well, why they ain't doing this? Because it's not important to them.
Yeah.
But if it's so fucking important to you, why the fuck aren't you doing something? Why the fuck is the most you can do is tell anecdotal jokes and pick at people and call people names? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? No. I want it to be scammed. That's it. That's it. Hell, shit. Okay. So it should address, back to economics, which this was economics, right?
Yeah.
It should, in order for an economic system to be human, it should address a great variety of particular situations in all their institutional complexity. Human societies are not uniform. They're woven from countless distinct local context, institutions, and cultural norms. So an economy that's truly human must accommodate these differences, not flatten them with one-size-fits-all theories, which this is good stuff right here.
Yeah.
Because this is where most of my vitriol comes from when I hear bandwagon philosophies. They're almost always one size fits all.
Yeah.
If everybody would just do this, the problem would go away.
Right.
If we would all just do this, the problem would go away. You know? No, there are no one size fits all theories. This is why, to this day, as many people talk about capitalism and as many people talk about communism, there is not one country on this planet that is truly one or the other.
Right.
Because you can't flatten economics. Yay! You cannot flatten economics because it is just as complex and chaotic as we are. By paying attention to the unique mix of community structures, families, cooperatives, local businesses, nonprofit governments, it becomes clear that solutions require more than rigid policy prescriptions. The complexity of institutions shapes people's real experiences. So an inclusive, human-centered approach must respect those diverse realities and craft nuanced strategies that speak to each context's needs. Yes, I love this.
And that's what I think, thinking about the variables, we don't take time to really sit down and think about all those little things that could play a role.
Yeah. Because there's so many. Well, I think one of the most dishonest thing that I see politicians do consistently is they use this terminology that this is what we all want. This is what everybody wants. Yeah. That to me is the most dehumanizing form of technology to use. And that's what causes problems. That's because then what about the people who don't want that? Now you're going to say anybody who wants something different than that doesn't have a human want. But in order for an economic system to be truly human, it must consider all the different wants of humans. Right. And that's where the discomfort comes in with economics. Yeah. Oh, man. Because then you get mad if somebody who wanted something that you didn't want gets it. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother conversation. All right, so let's go to the next one. It has to address humanity as a whole and the world society we are making. So lastly, their idea was, no, I missed one, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay. The third one, it must be based. Oh yeah, I do like this one. It must be based on more holistic conception of everyone's needs and interests. And that's pretty much where I'm always going to be coming from. You will never put me in anybody's box. I can't do it because the world is too big for that. And I've now realized that, like, I literally am the blind man touching the elephant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And because I know I'm the blind man touching the elephant, guess what I know about the rest of you motherfuckers? You just as blind as me. You know what I'm saying? This is why I'm a skeptic. I know what you can't know. Motherfucker, you just as blind as me. You know, so so I am in search of more holistic conceptions that are willing to hear and consider the needs of everyone. Traditional economics often focus heavily on profit, production, and consumption, sidestepping broader human concerns like health, well-being, relationships, and sustainability.
Yeah.
The US is a prime example of an economic system that has excelled somewhat in profit, production, and consumption, and has absolutely failed in areas of health, well-being, relationships, and sustainability. And I think that's why you get works like this, because it makes us all want to wrestle with how can we have a more human economy? And what does it look like? Something that holistically looks at what people actually need to thrive, such as meaningful work, social belonging, environmental protection, and in time for creativity for family. Because, which we'll talk about in the last message of this series, creativity makes economies go around, man.
Yeah.
It's the creativity that humans bring to working together that creates possibilities that did not exist before. And again, the thing that I always like to remind people of, if you were born about 150,000 years ago, your two jobs, you'd have only one or two options. You either gonna be a hunter or a gatherer. Now, all the kids get asked, what you gonna be when you grow up? The answer is only gonna be hunter or gatherer. There was no presidents. You know what I'm saying? There was no hip hop artist. There was no athlete. There was no skater. There was no banker. There was no, you know what I'm saying? And the list goes on and on and on. All of these things come out of human ingenuity and human creativity. And so rather than reducing human behavior to mere self-interest or market transactions, this perspective treats individuals and communities as multidimensional, caring about everything from mutual aid to cultural expression. It acknowledges that real wealth includes emotional and social wellness, not just monetary gain. Which, to that point, we kind of hit that last week, that is very important. We understand that while money is a currency, it is not the only currency we have. Your social wellness is a form of currency. Your emotional well-being is a form of currency. Your health is a form of currency, you know? Oh, man. That is funny. That is hilarious. And then the last one is, it has to address humanity as a whole and the world society we're making. Lastly, a truly human economy must look at the global picture. In an era of unprecedented connectivity and interdependence, local actions ripple across the planet. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's supply chains, environmental impact, or issues of inequality, economic choices do not happen in isolation. Building an economy of the people means considering how policies, practices, and even principles affect distant communities, ensuring we don't exploit or neglect those outside our immediate circles. I think that's one of the things that made the most recent US political election so difficult for so many people, so difficult for so many people who could not get grounded on who to vote for. And it's because as we are learning more about the world around us, you know, which this has been a wrestle that we've had, I know in the US, at least for 100 years, we're trying to determine how should we feel about affairs going on around the world. And it's that stuff which is ultimately going to be game changing for political regimes over the next 10 years. As societies become more and more global, national elections will somewhat fade in relevance. Like it's a scary place, but it's very interesting.
Yeah.
But this global lens invites us to craft economic systems that honor our shared planet and collective responsibility, aiming for equitable development rather than pockets of prosperity within seas of deprivation. Okay, so now that we've got some economic basics under our belt, let's get our first point of the weekend, which is that collective work is a catalyst for change.
I love that. And collective work or action refers to action taken together by a group of people whose goal is to enhance their condition and achieve a common objective. When coupled with responsibility, it is a concept that refers to the shared obligation to work together to solve problems and improve conditions for everyone, right? This is the root of economic understanding. And I love that when it talks about everyone, because we don't look at it that way, really. Some people look at it as, oh, it's just with me, or it's just with my family, or it's just with my city, it's just with my town, you know. So looking at this globally with everyone, collective work is important. But if economics are this simple, why is it so difficult to change economic systems? And that answer is, in our humble opinion, it's not easy to change. It's like slowly live. Okay. But changing economic systems are the easy part, or is the easy part. Creating new economic systems is just as easy. The hard part is convincing anyone that a better alternative exists. And, you know, to convince people it can already be a challenge in itself, right?
Yep.
And so and this problem is rooted in both a fear of utopian thinking and a lack of confidence in one's own ability to make a significant difference.
Yeah.
And we're not just making this up. In the terms of the study of collective action, we've discovered that utopian thinking is a common denominator in effective collective groups.
To say it easily, things don't get better where people don't believe things can't get better. And this is why I mentioned earlier that, like, there are people I can work for that I can't work with. And the people that I can't work with are the people who don't believe it can be better.
Yeah.
You know, at that moment, you're telling me you're a waste of body. Like, you're not going to try to make anything. If you don't believe something can be better, you're not going to do anything to make it better. And this is what they found out about this utopian thinking aspect, is that what you find out is that a lot of people, again, kind of like you said, have either that lack of confidence in themselves to be able to do anything, or they just already believe, no, this is the best it's going to get. It can only get worse from here. It's going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing. And then there's always, you know, I've worked in the Black community for years, and the thing that I had to run up, like a common thing that I ran up into, you know, Black people ain't gonna do that. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, Black folks ain't gonna never do that. Now, you know, Black, like it's this thing. And the thing is, I wasted a lot of years trying to work with those people who believe that. And it's like, shame on me, right? Like, somebody is literally telling you that they don't believe this thing is possible, and this is the person you're keeping on the team to help you make it possible. Let's put this in context. Let's just say you're on a basketball team and you're in the championships, and the person's telling you, like, I don't think I can do anything. It's not possible for us to win. I want that motherfucker off my team as soon as possible. You can come to the after party, but don't you put your ass on this court. Because us that's on this court, we are here to fucking win. All right? Now, we're here on a purpose. So what you begin to realize, and this is from a sociological perspective, when you interrogate communities where collective action has not been used, where people have not come together to do collective work, when you interrogate the reasons, the root of the reasons is it ain't gonna ever get better. Why do anything? What's the use? Right. What for? Why come? How come? We got a lot of why comes, how comes, and what fos and whatnots, you know. But that becomes the point. And so the first thing you have to understand is that it's okay to dream bigger. You know what I'm saying? it's okay to dream better. Like one of my favorite movies was Inception, which had who come? You know what I'm saying? One of my favorite movies was Inception. It's a stellar soundtrack. Almost as stellar as Interstellar. But stellar soundtrack. But one of my favorite lines from that movie was, "You mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling." And many times what's keeping most of us in a place, and look, again, y'all know when I talk about this stuff, we're not talking about your life defined by anybody else's standards, but I'm talking about your life defined by your own standards. The reason why most people are satisfied against their own standards in life is because they are afraid, terrified even, to dream a little bigger. But see, the thing is, you cannot get better until you get different, and you cannot get different until you get better. The two are unequivocal. So many times, which brings me up into another part, the two are inseparable, which brings us to this other idea. Dang it, did I lose it that quick? I just had it. A dream within a dream into reality. It's an amazing movie, right? I did too. I forced the whole family to watch it like twice.
Yeah, we did watch it.
Oh man, it was dope. And I'm like I like stuff like that, you know. It's speculative for sure, you know, fictional, but man, we live in an amazing world.
Creativity.
Yeah, there it is. I found it back. So I had to take another rabbit trail to get to it. So difference, you cannot get better unless you're willing to do different. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you can't do different unless you're willing to do better. Mm-hmm. You know? And so the reason most people never get better is because they don't believe in different.
Don't believe in different.
Don't believe in different. So no, this is the way it's always been done. Well, this is why you got what the fuck you got.
It's like, this is the way I have to keep it.
This is why I keep it. They're like, well, this is the way I've always done it. Mm-hmm. Like, well, this is why you got what you got.
Yeah.
This is why I've always thought about it. Well, this is why you got what you got.
And that's why I think we have to look at even tradition
differently.
Right?
Yes.
Tradition doesn't always mean right.
No, like just in the context of life, tradition is hardly ever right because it's in the past. Mm-hmm. And if it's in the past, it's limited to the context of those times.
Right.
Which is why, like, you know, that's one of those reasons I prefer more progressive forms of legal frameworks, because I don't want to be held to what Big Mama thought 300 years ago. Like, no, Big Mama, no. But yeah. So it's okay to dream bigger, but you do have to get comfortable with difference. And I'm going to take this one because this is my but this is just more so with this utopian thinking aspect. Yeah. Is the most, oh my goodness, that's a good one. The fear of losing the status quo is the most limiting force to improving things. Yeah. Now, y'all know when I've had my conversations about why some people have a hard time with deconstructing, I've talked about the role of ancestor worship in that, right? In that, because we think ancestor worship is just a choice type of thing, but it's something you've been deeply socialized in. Almost every form of religion we have has incorporated ancestor worship into that religion. Like even like the weird thing about Black people, well, just about Black people and white people who are not Jewish being religious or being Christians, is that you worshiping somebody else's ancestors. Mm-hmm. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Like those ain't my ancestors. They ain't in my tree. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they might be in there somewhere, but I doubt it. But you know, the ancestor worship is so deeply ingrained into much of what we do, and what it is, it's a preservation and a deification of those who came before us. And like, because even when you look in the language of Christian scripture, there's always this idea to honor your parents, you know, and dishonoring your parents was as deadly as dishonoring God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they could stone you. Like they could stone you. I mean, this was so deep that, you know, we said up until even to when I was growing up, you know, I brought you into this world, I'd take you out. But it does become this thing of those who came before me was right. They knew more than me. They knew more than I could ever know. And so that if I want to, you know, navigate the world, I have to trust the work that they did. I have to trust the work that they share. So sometimes even separating yourself from the status quo feels like a violation of everything you've been groomed in, of everything you've been bred in. And even though that's not often the language that is articulated in, when you actually get people in deep dive conversations, you figure out like that's what people are really struggling with. That doing different becomes an indictment against the people who came before me.
Yeah.
Because then watch this. If I do it and it worked, like, okay, so now this is just my thing. Now this is me. Don is in the building. Yehudu. But if you do it and it works, you do something different and it works for your life. Okay, so I'll use my life. The status quo for my life was cultural Christianity. Everybody in my family, even though none of them motherfuckers go to church, are Christians. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't go to fucking church. They don't tithe. They don't do none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? They go for the Christmas specials when the kids gonna be dancing and shit like that.
Yeah.
But my church is culturally Christian. I realized that being communally Christian or culturally Christian was not beneficial for me, that it was not helpful for me, and that I needed change in my life. And the moment you say you need change, you are asking for two things: different and better. So I knew I was going to have to shift the status quo. And that status quo of me was leaving the religious aspect that my family has attached themselves to for generations. Yikes, right? It was very uncomfortable because that meant I had to admit that I believed that grandma's prayers didn't do shit. And that just feels a little disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? I had to admit to myself, with coming out of that status quo, that everybody who said they were praying for me and heard words from God were either flat out lying or fucking delusional. Like, when you start having to wrestle with that against the backdrop of these are your family members, the people you love, most people would rather stay under the covers than to get naked with that reality. The reality that, damn, I was misled by somebody who was misled by somebody who was misled, because most people aren't able to wrestle with that nuance. They just goes to grandmama was wrong, or mama was wrong, or daddy was wrong, or Uncle Charlie was wrong, or whoever the fuck else was wrong, and then just having to deal with that. If you haven't matured your mind to wrestle with that stuff, what's the first thing you're going to go to? These people lied to me. Do you know how uncomfortable that is for people to come to that place thinking about somebody that they love, especially when you think about, in the Black households, how mandatory we made this shit. You know what I'm saying? So you start thinking about the people who loved me, damn near beat this shit into me. You know what I'm saying? And that's right. Colonialism is a hell of a drug, but also colonialism has become a hell of an excuse, because there are too many people who broke away from that shit. Nat Turner was in the middle of it and broke out of it. And so, but that's the thing. The longer we accept an excuse, it will always exist. It will all exist. Oh, but that'll take me to my Black nationalist days. That'll take me to the Black nationalist days right there. Whew, this is so good. Oh man. But after I read, I still wanted my mother to be correct. Wow. Yep, that's it. Like, that's like, oh my goodness. Because it's tough. And it's hard. It takes grace. Yes. It takes grace. It takes nuance. But it's a hard thing for most people to wrestle with. I know people to this day who will not deconvert because of how strong that ancestor worship is. But I love what Don just said. No, I want my mother to grow with me. And that is such a powerful human emotion. And we're all capable. Yes, that's it. Oh my goodness, we're all capable of it, which is basically what we're talking about today, right? It's that the community economics. And I mean, I wouldn't do the work that I do. I would not be sitting here in the pain that I am sitting in right now if I didn't believe it was that if by doing this work, and that by accelerating more community development, more local community development, that eventually it'll make it easier for other people to deconstruct.
And you're not new to this, because you were in pain when you were pastoring sometimes.
For sure. Game 6, baby. Got to do what you do, utopian thinking contributes to accessing cognitive alternatives, which are imagined models of societies that are different from the current society. Cognitive alternatives are proposed by many social identity theorists as an effective way to increase collective action. Moreover, utopian thinking has the potential to increase perceived injustice, perceived efficacy, or form new social identities, and therefore affect collective action. And so even when I was highly involved with Black nationalism and Pan-Africanism, which of course I'm still a Pan-Africanist, I'll likely be that to the day that I die. And I tell y'all, I still lean towards Black nationalism. It is what it is. Hate me or not. You can hate me now, but I won't stop now, because it is what it is. But this is definitely one of those things that I wrestled with the communities, is that we all knew that we no longer wanted this, right? Mm-hmm. But when it came to doing the work of figuring out what we did want or what we could create, it was always limited to, well, what, again, going back to what I said, well, Black folk ain't gonna never do that. Mm-hmm. It would just always go back there.
Yeah.
But it's when you can get people, and that's one of the things I am loving about the community we're building, is that when you can get people who can come to the table and say, I'm willing to imagine what the world could look like if we have a few people who are willing to work together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh,
because that could be hard for some people, because some people can't see past what is. And that's the beauty of learning.
Wow.
And having conversations.
It is. It is.
Reading.
It is. I was just reading what Don was saying. And he said, there is an infrastructure for that outside of the church. And you are absolutely right. Trying to build it with the youth and the student working group and the African Internationalist Student Organization. And I understand that is my task. That is awesome, man. Yeah. It comes with church activity, but I want to lead them to hating parts of myself like it did me. And that's why we've got to get a BridgeCity out there where you are. Like that is, man, you make such a difference. That's right, Kyle. Let them know. Preach to them. As teens was watching the church talk about cults. Oh, yes. And finding and deprogramming people in cults when they themselves did the exact same process. Yep.
Because you're not thinking that deeply. You're thinking when you think that the way I'm doing it is the right way and the others are doing it wrong, you're not going to see,
that's right.
I'm a part of it.
In group, out group. Mm-hmm. The moment it becomes, it's like, oh, look what they're doing. And it's just like, okay, so what are we doing? Mm-hmm. But that's when it's never a complete conversation, when the church never, because I remember being in a lot of those type of things, and it's never like, well, this is how what we're doing is different. This is how we're not doing that. There's never any of that.
Yeah, just pointing out.
Oh man. And so ultimately the big point is, and I started saying this 10 years ago, is you've got to see the world differently to create a different world. Mm-hmm. If you can't see the world differently than everybody else says it, you're never going to be able to create anything different than what everybody else sees. Yeah. You have, and so this is one of the reasons, hey, I hate to pat myself on my own back, but actually I don't. I enjoy it. That actually felt somewhat good. But this one thing I really do appreciate about me is that I've learned to appreciate seeing things differently. If there is another way to see something, I want to. And again, that's me fully embracing this idea of being the blind man touching the elephant. And then also knowing that's what I've embraced about my intelligence, is my sense of intelligence is not knowing what I know. It's knowing what I don't know. And it's knowing what I don't know that keeps me insanely curious. So when someone says, oh, but it could be this, unless what they said is so stupid that I can identify the stupidity within the first 3 seconds, I'm going to actually consider it. And then even if it is stupid, after I dismiss it, I'm still going to consider it. Man. Consider all things. Absolutely. Okay. So, man, we are constantly asking the input of others. That's right. And how we can do better. Yes. Yes. Not the place we want to get to. Does not need it, but people absolutely understandable if the desired world cannot be created in a reasonable time. And that's pretty much been my stance on it. If I was giving a speech about it, it would be give me globalism or give me Black nationalism. I can't continue Americanism without Black nationalism. That America will never be the type of country that could solve the problems it created. And I can't even just say it created. This was a hodgepodge. It was created by Britain, France, and then of course the damn Portuguese who got this shit all kicked off. Hell, I can't ignore what the Muslim slave trade did and all of that. But even then, that's just me talking about my problems. Everybody's been fucked over by other folk. But Pan-Africanism is definitely where I plant my flag. And again, I remind people that's what made me a humanist. Is that I became a humanist by shifting from caring about Black people just in the United States to caring about Black and brown people wherever they existed, and then becoming insanely curious about their story and studying like literally a whole decade. And then eventually I realized that the same freedoms and liberties that I wanted for Black and brown folk everywhere, I want for people, period. But I am not a dumb one by a long shot. People do what is in their own best interest. So I have no reasonable expectation of an America that is majority white to ever choose to do what is in the best interest of a people that they already view as less than. Yeah. And so if globalism is not on the menu, Black nationalism will be, whether America likes it or not. That's a whole nother conversation. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go back there. You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, ran amok, rush out. Who taught you to hate? No, let me stop. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness.
Hate your hate.
I love all of my heroes. All of them are conflicted as a mug, but Malcolm was a shining star, man. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Ooh, can you talk about how the Bible validates whiteness? Like I went through that one. Like I yikes. Well, I mean, for a while, I think we had this conversation the other day. For a while, I started like, I think when y'all telling me that y'all want me to be holy, y'all want me to be white. But that's the language of holiness, right? Yeah. The language is wash me pure as snow.
You gotta wear the
I need to be clean as a pure white lamb. Why can't I be as clean as a Doberman Pinscher? Why can't I be as clean as a Rottweiler? You know, I'm not gonna be no fucking lamb anyway. Fuck that shit. Lambs get eaten. Ain't nobody eating no Rottweilers out here. I hope. Jokes. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the. Damn. I walked myself right up into it. Oh shit. Okay. Is this still on me? All right. So let's pull some theory into the conversation. Mormonism, that's hilarious. Yes, and both are worth the fight. I love that. I'm 100 in for globalism and have solidarity for Black nationalism. I love that. The economic theory of collective action is concerned with the provision of public goods and other collective assumptions through collaboration of two or more individuals and the impact of externalities on group behavior. It is more commonly referred to as public choice. It was Mancur Olson's 1965 book, The Logic of Collective Action, Public Goods and the Theory of Groups, is an important early analysis of the problems of public good costs, which I wish I would have pulled this one into the resources. I'll see if I can find it. Okay. But besides economics, the theory has found many applications in political science, sociology, communication, anthropology, and environmentalism. Mancur Olson made the claim that individual rational choices leads to situations where individuals with more resources will carry a higher burden in the provision of the public good than poorer ones. Poor individuals will usually have little choice but to opt for the free rider strategy. They will attempt to benefit from the public good without contributing to its provision. This may also encourage the underproduction, inefficient production of the public good. And mind you, this is not a dig. This is a financial reality. People with less resources will consistently need more than what was initially calculated to survive in any evolving economy, regardless of philosophy. And this is one of those places that I see, at least in the States, I am not as well versed on other people's economic setups, but at least in the States, this is one of those things that I see is what's basically driving the rampant increase of poverty. Is that, okay, well, we assume that there is an assumption of, we assume a constant or a stagnant economic state, that if we get if we just get here, then it's going to look good for everybody. And that's not how good works, and that's not how economies work. The paradox of economies is that as economies get better, or get stronger rather, prices increase.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And what tends to happen, and there's literally no way to avoid that for the most part. I mean, there might be some stuff. I don't want to say literally, but for the most part, that has been the issue. As economies get stronger, value increases, price increases. And so the people who are benefiting from the strength of the economy are able to participate more aggressively, more assertively, and they are rewarded. But the people who those benefits have not trickled down to are still stuck where they were before prices increased.
Right.
And so now the economic system you have created for them is not the same economic system you created for yourself. And so, and I like highlighting this because this brings some insight into why people abusing the system needs to be, that ideology of that phrasing needs to kind of be eradicated. That is the only mathematical option. For many. Prices of things have expense, and which is why what kills people in this country is and it's one of the reasons why there is a apathy problem when it comes to getting out of poverty. There's some people who already know that the fight of getting out of poverty is such an uphill battle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many people who are killed in middle class as soon as they get there. Because they go from having all of this help to having none of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's a real issue. So unfortunately, economics is dominated by the two most chaotic factors known to humanity: entropy and people behavior. So I won't claim to have the answer on this, but we have to expand our bounds of compassion to those who are into poverty, and realize that it's a damn near death sentence for them. And that's what it can feel like when you're having to allow yourself to claw out of that, while politicians are using your circumstances as some token talking point. Mm-hmm. Everybody, says they're speaking for the average poor, but they ain't did shit yet. Everybody says they're speaking for the working man. And I'm like, I ain't seen you, bro.
Because they're so far removed. Yeah.
All right, so we can jump down to the social responsibility.
Yeah, so social responsibility is an ethical concept in which a person works and cooperates with other people and organizations for the benefit of the community. And so our community membership can demonstrate this social responsibility in several ways. For instance, by donating, encouraging volunteerism, using ethical hiring procedures, and making changes that benefit the environment, which we're trying to put in place as we grow and build. And so social responsibility is an individual responsibility that involves a balance between the economy and the ecosystem one lives within, and possible trade-offs between economic development and the welfare of society and the environment. Social responsibility pertains not only to business organizations, but also to everyone whose actions impact the organization, the culture, and the environment. And so one can be socially responsible passively by avoiding engaging in social harmful acts, or actively by performing activities that advance social goals. And so social responsibility has an intergenerational aspect, since the actions of one generation have consequences for their posterity, and also can be more or less respectful for their ancestors.
And you see just how so much of that kind of ends up tying back to that ancestor relationship, which is ultimately a way that we wrestle with our own mortality. But so this next point is just dealing with human error. Every major in this human era, which I kind of introduced to y'all last week, and the aspect of the human error calendar. If you've not seen that calendar yet, go check it out and I don't get anything for this, so this isn't me selling stuff. It's just really neat. I fell in love with it ever since I first saw it. I've never liked the ABCD calendar, the ACDC, whatever, BC, CE, right? DC College, ICDC College. Yeah, you know, so having a calendar that is not rooted in superstition is beautiful. And the human era calendar is actually very inspirational. It's a product of Kazat. Now, of course, anybody can make a calendar, so we might make one too. But no, it's dope. So check it out if you haven't. But every major accomplishment during the human era has been the byproduct of collective work. I used to start saying when I was working with the organizations years ago that people can do what people can do. You know what I'm saying? When you start talking to me like we can't do what other people can do, I'm confused. But from pyramids and early irrigation systems to modern governments and economies, the economies we build as a community will be a reflection of our understanding of our collective work.
Yes, and as we explored many times before, we've realized that the human journey of evolution has greatly expanded what it means to work and the value of individual contribution. And so, whereas one point in our early historic economic value was fairly static, it has become exponentially dynamic, and yet we have found that many people judge their own capacity to add economic value by antiquated static models, in spite of living in a world where somebody somewhere is getting paid to film their cats or their dogs.
You know,
having their own queen size bed, their own room, eating steak. Like,
that's weird.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Like, mukbangs are a thing now. People just get paid.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
just paid to hear you eat. And then what's the other thing that people told me I should get into? ASMR. Like, I was like, what? That just sounds sexual. I'm gonna do ASMR. No,
that's what I was like the other day, like hearing you type.
If I'm gonna do ASMR, it's gonna be on OnlyFans. I want the big bucks.
Not only.
Yes, that's
only the fan. Is it only for fans?
I mean, you better be a fan if you paying.
If you pay.
I mean, if you're not, I guess haters can pay too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So keep in mind. Why did we bring up?
You did it. You did it.
Lord. Okay, keep in mind that what say, oh Lord. You know, we just said when we're you saying things and you're like, oh, we getting beside ourselves. We still say, oh Lord, help us, Lord.
I ain't got no problem. No, I'm oh man.
Okay, y'all. Okay. Get back to it. Keep in mind that prostitution is among the oldest industries in the world. It becomes increasingly clear that mainstream has never cornered the market on value. So we have to be very careful about determining the value based on market standards.
Absolutely.
Game
challenge is in the chat. All right, so let's talk about some principles of collective work, right? So one is common agenda. Like that's a major part of what makes this community so beautiful, is that we do have a common agenda. That common agenda is to build community beyond superstition. That common agenda is to be progressive thinking, people-centric, and life-affirming in everything that we do. That common agenda is to create space that is safe, that is sound, that is secure, and that is soft for people, that people aren't in fear of aggression or retaliation. That's the common agenda. But it's actually to make that agenda do something. Participants share a vision for change and a common understanding of the problem, which is why we come together in conversations. Maya's in the building. There's also shared measurement. This is the hard one, right? Yeah. Where participants agree on how success will be measured and reported. And this is sometimes one of the biggest reasons why we don't get as far in collective work as we'd like to, is because we can agree on the vision, we can agree on the mission, we can agree on the agenda, but it's sometimes very difficult to agree on whether or not it succeeded. Was this a failure or not? And that's because that's very hard for us all, because we attach different parts of our own egos to what we're working on. But it is very important in collective work to have a shared understanding of the measurements. How how will we measure progress and how will we report out on that? Which this is some of the conversations that we're having now in our Bridge City Dreaming Community Development Series. And this is more conversations that this is why I'm always very intentional about showing you where we're growing at, what we can be working on, what we can improve on. I don't know where we're failing at yet because we're so freaking new, but I'm sure it's somewhere. Actually, I do know where we're failing at. We've grown too fast. So we have what I like to call good problems. They're still problems nonetheless, but they are good problems. If we grew this way and I didn't have a full-time job, we'd be absolutely okay. But we grew way beyond my capacity to be attended to, and I don't have anybody else at home who just got 99 problems and money ain't one that could just be like, don't worry about it, bro. I'll take care of it. You know what I'm saying? So, but those are good problems. But that is one of the problems because of that problem, because I can't have a full-time focus yet. I can't train anybody else to have full-time focuses. So the reality is every week, even though our numbers are increasing, we are missing opportunities and people are falling through the cracks. That's the reality. That's just the reality. But so, it's having that shared measurement. Now, if you ever got to get inside of all of my documents, you'd find out that I am data driven, damn near data crazy. And so I'm tracking every fucking thing. But it's also so that as we start building our teams, that I'm not just saying, here, do magic. I can actually say, here, this is where we've been. This is where we've been at. Here's some helpful stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So common agenda, shared measurement, mutually reinforcing activities. Participants coordinate a set of activities to achieve their common goal. These conversations are one example of such an activity. Lots. Oh, you gonna call me out? You gonna call me out? So true. Like, how many tabs is it now? Like, yikes. Oh man. But so yeah, this is a mutually reinforcing activity. When we do game night, that's a mutually reinforcing activity. And I'll do this since he's in the chat today. For those of you who like gaming, Gamingly Challenged is on Twitch as Gamingly Challenged, and that's what he does. He streams his games. Go check him out. I've streamed a few, and I feel like this audience would appreciate this. They also have another channel called Tentacles and Taxes. I may be saying it wrong, but they just recently had an episode where they were talking about hentai. And so if you know what I'm hinting at, it's hentai. That's what I'm hinting at. It's hentai. So go check out that conversation of that type of stuff. Get your throbber growing. And by the way, throbber does not mean what you think it means. And that's another inside joke. Man. Wow, that's beautiful. These talks are so helpful. I would have never joined my economic concerns to my interest in community growth. And that is a fucking win, because I think the more people we can get who see that, you know what I'm saying? That if the stronger community, and this is why I rail against families. I don't know if y'all have heard my rail against families, but I'm like, families need to get fucking functional. It's pissing me off. What you see?
Oh, something.
Oh, your ring fell. You got me scared. But when communities are functional, it creates opportunities for everybody. When communities work together, it changes. Like when we really look at the struggles that we have in life, it's against the backdrop of social realities. It's always going to be connected to, I didn't have enough people in my circle. Mm-hmm. I didn't have enough people who had my back. Yeah. I didn't have enough people who could support. I didn't have enough people who could catch me when I failed. I didn't have enough people who could recommend me when I was ready. I didn't have enough people to put in a good word for me. That's the power of people. And that's what I love about these conversations, because I know everybody probably thought we were going to be talking about money, and we will talk about money in the next one. But four episodes in this series, and only one of them is about money, because economics is not the study of money. It's the study of people. People behavior, people choices, people decisions, people consequences. The market is just a shortcut. Continuous communication. Participants communicate frequently and openly to build trust and mutual understanding, which is also why groups are such a big part of our mission, because we need people talking. You know, sometimes it's just the math. If I could just write a list of all the small things that people could do, you'd be surprised at how powerful those small things are doing. So just talking to each other in the Discord every day, these are things that is helping to increase our ability and capacity to do collective work. And then of course, backbone support, which is necessary, which I need that right now, literally and figuratively. But it's when independent staff provide ongoing support for the initiative. Like right now, I'm a 100% volunteer. Kyle is a volunteer. Dale is a volunteer. Did I see Dale in the chat today? Muttley is a volunteer. Alyssa's a volunteer. These are people who are providing ongoing support right now for the initiative. And then trust and communication, which should be a no-brainer, right? Participants share ideas and feedbacks without fear of criticism. Active listening, participants listen attentively to each other. And then last but not least, transparent sharing. Participants share information openly, such as project updates and organizational challenges and changes. But I guess speaking of challenges, we'll move to this third section, which is the challenges of collective work.
And so let's run through the 5 dysfunctions of a team, community, economy, however you want to look at it. And these are some big 5s, really. You have the absence of trust, the fear of conflict, lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, and then inattention to results. And that can apply to not just a team or a group, to apply as an individual, period. But the role of a team, the role of teamwork in overcoming challenges and achieving shared goals relies on those we call them items.
Or overcoming those dysfunctions. Like, here's the thing, you're not going to excel as a team. And mind you, communities are large teams, large teams of teams, and even teams of teams and teams of teams. It's like circle all the way down with this shit. You know how it is? But these are the things that we have to wrestle with. So these 5 dysfunctions, which is based off of a book from Patrick Lencioni. It's a fairly popular book. You can find it's written in fable form, which is why I actually liked it. You can find most of the highlights online for free, if not the whole book for free. Which I think I may have it in my library, and if I have it in my library, I can make it available to you as well. But these are the 5 things that keeps teams from actually functioning well. And that first one is absence of trust. Is that nobody trusts anybody. And if you're not trusting, guess what? You're not going to be vulnerable. And if you're not vulnerable, you're not open. And so this is never going to work. That's right. And so if you're coming to the table saying, I don't trust, then you're already creating dysfunction for the team. Like, that's something that you have to get over. You got to. Like, if community is important for you, you're going to have to be willing to be trusting. You know what I'm saying? But and trust is more than just about trusting that someone's going to treat me right. It's more than just trusting that someone isn't going to stab me in the back. It's also trusting that someone is capable to do their job. You know what I'm saying? It's also trusting that someone is actually trying to do their best. It's that type of trust. But when you do not have that trust, things get complicated real quickly. There's also the fear of conflict, which is a big one. If you're afraid that, if I do this, it's going to hurt somebody's feelings, you're not going to help out very much. You know what I'm saying? Because you're always going to be walking on eggshells. And you're never going to really talk about the things that really mean something to you. If you see a problem that you think is a problem, you're not going to say it because you're like, this might create conflict. Because in many people's mind, conflict equals bad. You know, if there's conflict, this is bad. And it's like, nope, it's not bad. This is reality. This is growth. No 2 people are alike. No 2 people see anything the same way. Wherever 2 or 3 people are, conflict will be there. Hallelujah. That's who God is. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. Conflict. We just solved it. We just solved the mystery. God is fucking conflict and confusion for sure. But anyway, so a lack of commitment. And that's really, I hate to use this corporate jargon, but it's just like having a lack of buy-in. Like, I'm here. If it works, it works. You're not committed. The person who's committed is not, if it works, it works. The person who's committed is, I'm committed to make it work. Right? You know what I'm saying? I'm committed to make that. That's what my commitment, right? God is conflict and confusion. Yes. If I'm committed to something, I'm committed to making it work. But that goes back to people's own people's own dissidence in their own capacity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Most people don't feel like their commitment could make anything work because they don't feel that they are capable, which is one of the things that we really do work to kind of undo in these conversations, is helping remind people that people can do what people can do. And you are people. And whatever you want to do, people, you know, you can do it. Look, I thought I was an atheist until I found out God is conflict, right? Oh, man. And then, of course, avoidance of accountability. For some people, it's really uncomfortable to be called out, you know? And so if you know that it's uncomfortable for people to be called out, guess what you won't do? You won't call out people.
Well, that's what school was trying to teach you with that red. They're going to show everybody.
Yeah, I like this shit. Yeah.
Circle it and everything.
But I think the thing that we have to remember about accountability is that accountability, just like responsibility, isn't about you. It's about what needs to get done. You know what I'm saying? But if we create situations where nobody can handle accountability, then we're never really caring about whether something is getting done right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we went through the work, do it right, do your best, do the most, nut if you buck. Is that what we're doing today? Is that what we're doing? Is that what just happened? Shit, no, okay. Damn. Oh, man. Blue sky. I have not jumped on there yet. Oh, man.
Sounds like
Blue sky smiling at me. Y'all love old jazz, man. Nothing but blue skies do I see. Da-da-da-da-da. Bluebirds singing along. Nothing but bluebirds. Oh, they okay. So y'all done did it now. See, there's too much. How did we go from Nuck If You Buck to bluebirds? That is like, damn. This is like, see, you know, we're diverse as fuck. You know, around here, you can get a little bit of everything, man. We should have busted out with Jolene next, just to round this shit off with some country. All right. But that avoidance of accountability, we have to get comfortable with. We got to get comfortable. We got to get comfortable not only calling each other out, but also being called out ourselves and holding each other accountable. But we have to learn how to do that with the grace of helping people realize that this is not, accountability is not an attack. But saying the words is not enough, though, right? We also have to phrase accountability where it doesn't come off as an attack, right? So, but that's work that the secular community can do for sure. Is helping us all get comfortable. Because here's the thing I tell people, like, I didn't think you were perfect. So you might as well get ready for me to see what's wrong with you. Because I don't think anybody's perfect. So I'm going to see shit all the damn time.
Yeah.
And if you're surprised about it, then you think you're perfect. And and the only problem I have with that is that if you think you're perfect, which I don't have a problem with that for real. I just have a problem with that from a work relationship standpoint. That means you're never going to do better. Everybody I know who thinks they're perfect is not trying to improve anything they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm an improvement-centric type of person. And so I literally need that. But in community, the challenge of working together, the challenge of community action is we have definitely grown uncomfortable with holding each other accountable. And then we've also grown, and this is that fifth one, with an intention to results. Which kind of talks to when we talked about earlier, which those principles that I shared, one of those things that it talked about was shared measurement, which means what are the results for us? Like, this is actually one of the things that bothered me about church, right? About being a Christian pastor, is that the results were, and we watched some episodes, some clips from my former mentor this morning, and in their announcements, they say, we got 416 souls saved last week. That used to be me, but I could never feel comfortable with it because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that means. And I don't know how many of them are going to leave here and suck a dick and be in risk of hellfire tonight. So, I don't what does that number mean? But like, as a pastor, that's how I measured my success, was how many people I got saved. And then I began to realize, like, this measurement means absolutely nothing. Especially for those who know my story, in the backdrop of my deconstruction time or deconversion time, it was during the aftermath of Trayvon Martin's murder and Mike Brown's murder. And I was wrestling with that. Like, so what use does it to get all these people saved and we couldn't keep 2 kids safe? Like there's a disconnect in the language. I don't want to get people saved if being saved doesn't mean being safe. What's the purpose of that? That's like saying having some cheese that's not cheesy. Why the fuck would I want cheese that's not cheesy? I want my cheese to be cheesy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, why the fuck would I want some cheese to be cheesy? Why would I want to be saved but not safe? But I realized that's what was creating a lot of conflict in a lot of churches, is that we really weren't even sure of what the results we were supposed to be looking for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so then pastors have to find different ways to measure the effectiveness of their work. And that's it. It's a slippery slope, because then you start measuring the effectiveness of your work by how many people come see you on Sunday. And like, man, it's only bad if you're a superstitious pastor. If you're anybody else, that's what anybody else in that performance space feels the same way. A comedian, a comedian, performer, actor, anybody. But that's the mind fuck of being a pastor, is that you felt like having very human emotions were inappropriate. So feeling bad when people didn't come to your service, you couldn't feel bad about that. That was the mind fuck. Yeah. But if I was just a performer and not a pastor, I could feel bad about that with no guilt at all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it's a mind fuck, man. All right. So let's talk about the power of collective work. As a pastor, I saw the power of collective work in a variety of ways, right? Helping members with moving and house maintenance. These are some of the small things, right? And mind you, what I'm talking about is not what I did as a pastor. These were the side effects of just having people together. So just having people meeting together every week. Then when somebody was getting ready to move and needed help moving their furniture, there was a crowd of people that they could always ask. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hey, I'm moving from my apartment this weekend. Anybody want to help? And, nobody really want to help. You know what I'm saying? But typically, if you say, I'm going to cook a little something, oh, okay, shoot. I thought you should have led with that. Damn, you should have just invited us over to eat and then just made us move shit while we were there. But those are things that happen a lot that you don't really appreciate until you're outside of that communal space and realize, like, damn, this is something that the church made possible that I didn't even realize that it made available to me, because that's not built into the design of church. It's not built into the design of church to help you move your shit. Right. But that's the power of collective work. But then there was also just the power of communal dinners, providing meals free of charge. And if you ever want to get people talking together and having a good time, feed them and give them something to drink. Oh, man. People who hate each other, get all lovey-dovey and everything. Oh, that's beautiful. Nice. Ooh, I love that. Yes. So communal diners, these small things. That's the power of collective work. So when I was a pastor, there's certain Sundays, we always have like a potluck dinner after church. We did this because we understood that a high percentage of our people who went to our churches, and that's typically what you're dealing with urban and rural churches, which is churches, period. You're dealing with a high amount of people who don't have great opportunities. And so it was an easy way for us to all come together and make sure everybody has a great meal on these little times. And then people who can't afford food, they didn't have to show up and say, I don't have anything to eat at home. They just show up being a part of the community and get a good meal and eat as much as they want. It's not like one of them family things where everybody's counting how many plates you get, No, you eat, baby, get over there and eat. Another thing that we did, which because we had this collective work and cooperative economics going on, our church was given a van. We were donated a van because people saw our collective work. And that kind of goes back to the work series where we're talking, when you start doing stuff, it attracts other stuff to you because it creates that energy. So people donated us a van, And instead of us just using the van to pick up people for church, when members in our church were having transportation challenges, we could use the van to help those members. We were also able to provide summer camps and childcare free of charge. We were also able to do a homeless stand down where several of the members of our church got together and participated with other organizations, and we provided clothes, we provided shoes, we provided free haircuts, and a whole bunch of other stuff. That's the power of collective work. We have a lot of collective talk, but it don't get powerful until it's collective work.
Yeah.
We did a McDoubles giveaway, went to McDonald's, and damn near had to fight McDonald's to pay for people's foods, you know? And if you think my temper is bad now, oh my, rough. I was rough back then, but that's because I felt like life was unfair. And so I was always fighting the unfairness of life. But no, like we had to fight to be able to pay for these people's food, because we did it at a McDonald's that was in an area where it attracted a high amount of homeless people. And I know, like, giving homeless people McDonald's is probably not the best thing in the world to do, but we're trying to do something. And it was like, McDoubles are quite cheap, and so let's just do that. And so we did it, and then we did the gas giveaway. None of those things would have been possible if it just would have been me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? None of those things are possible even now. Like right now, if I have more support. You got to fight for your right for McDonald's, right? I have more supporters now than I've ever had in my life, and I still couldn't pull that together because we are so scattered. We don't have the potential yet to pull together that collective work, which is why we're doing the 4-year on-sites this 4-year. We're doing 4 on-sites so we can start stimulating local community, so that we can start so that people can see secular community making that type of difference. Which is a whole nother other thing. Optics is a whole nother world. Okay, so now as a director of community relations for a regional association of the Southern Baptist Convention, I saw the power of collective work amplified through loosely affiliated networks. So there was a pastor in crisis. He had got cheated out by his bank, lost his house, lost his land. Somebody in the church, this wasn't just a church, this was an entire church organization. So there was 100 and how many churches was a part of that organization when I was part of? I think it was like 186 churches that I was responsible for their community stuff. But the pastor in crisis, somebody owned a little small plot of land. Plenty of the men in those loosely affiliated churches had contracting or construction experience, and were willing to train some of the younger people who were willing to volunteer. They did get some lumber donated from Lowe's and Home Depot, and they built that pastor and his family a 3-story house in about a time frame of 3 weeks.
Yeah, it did not take them long.
No, that's the power of collective work. The reason why, like, I'd seen people build a house plenty of times. The thing was, that was the first time I had ever seen anybody motivated to do so without profit. That's the value of community. Yeah. No, that house didn't get built that quickly, that efficiently, because somebody wanted to make money. Yeah. That house got built that quickly, that efficiently, because there was a community there who cared about this person's need.
Right.
And they said, and it wasn't money that made the difference here. Yeah. It was what everybody already had. It was the skills that people had from life. Yeah. If And that's, this is one of the biggest problems I've had, with doing work in the community, is I hate that when people show up in my community and the only answer they have is money. Like you're robbing us if that's the only answer you have. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? What we really need, man, is to know what we're capable of. Oh man.
And know that.
But in a logical, helpful way. Yes, I like that. We also did the power of collective work. We were able to provide utility payments, food, and clothing support monthly. And this was powered by the collective work of volunteers and people who were willing to donate goods that they had. There was a deadly flooding that had taken place in the state of Alabama. And because of the collective work, the Alabama Baptist Disaster Relief Program was able to provide emotional support, though steeped in superstition, provided cleanup and recovery, provided repair and construction services for multiple homes, and fed the volunteers and the displaced. Now, you imagine losing your house after it flooding and then having literally no one there to help you. You know what I'm saying? Having to clean it up yourself, repair it yourself, figure it out. But instead, you have a community of people who show up because they say, no, this is what we exist for.
Yeah.
We exist to solve problems. The whole reason I am an advocate for community is because that's what community exists for. It exists to solve problems. Also in that role, I worked with an organization called the Black Belt Farm Coalitions. I helped to broker a deal that resulted in when any member of that organization spends money at a certain grocery store within that city with their card, a fraction of that cost goes to a Black Belt Farm Coalition that creates jobs, farms, and food in an area that desperately needs it, and allowed the association to decrease its expenses due to receiving free fresh food products to power its feeding programs. And then that program led to the acquisition of a 15,000 square feet facility to power our second thrift store and the acquisition of a commercial grade freezer to extend the life of our fresh products. That's the power of collective work. It doesn't stop at the work. When you're doing the work and you're doing the work together, it attracts other people to the work. Other people say, hey, how can I get involved? Because unlike business, where the idea is profit, communities exist for problems.
And to solve those problems.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Communities is where you talk about the problems at. It's where you bring the problems so that we can work on, so that we can solve.
And I love all those examples because you showed that even if you don't have the physical resources, like, oh, I have this to bring to you, you still have your hands.
Yeah.
A lot of those people just came with their hands.
That's it.
Their sight and their ability, their ingenuity, their energy, if you will, to help get things done.
There's an old song from the Gullah Geechee coast. You get a line, I get a pole. We'll go down to the fishing hole. We'll have a real good time. That's ultimately collective work.
Now, see, that could go another way, but you get a pole.
Hey, let me stop. But, so we should keep in mind that people are always immensely more valuable than the money. Yeah. It's not the money, it's the people. It's the people.
It's the people. Did we do that? We didn't end up doing that, did we?
I don't know. I've been saying it a lot. but that's the big point, is that all economic efforts are the result of collective work. Yeah. And economics don't work until we do in ways that matter to the lives we live. Last week, we established that the basis of economics is basically cost. Nothing is free. Choice, unpredictable behavior of people, and consequence, the resulting market. And in doing so, we've squarely established that economics is not the study of money, but the study of people activity. Money is simply one mode of currency that can be used as a measurement of behavior, but the most valuable commodity of any economic system is not the currency, but the people who give it value. That's how we open it up today, that people, you're not just the meaning makers, you're the value makers, you're the tool makers, you're the money makers. You see how we did that? Which is why collective work is foundational for building any sustainable economy. Collective work transfers the burden of the work, therefore reducing the cost of participation and increasing the return on energy investment. Because we define work as what? Energy applied, which results in a surplus. Collective work has been the driving factor of all successful economic systems, whether they be nations, cooperations, corporations, or teams. When people work together cooperatively, it increases the value of every single person's individual effort. Again, just how like reminding you that even the people who are just by engaging in the chat, just by clicking the love buttons, the reactions buttons, just by being fire starters and commenting on the live videos, doing those things are things that by any other standard, you'd say, oh, this is insignificant. But we live in a world where we're starting to understand our value in such a ways that you doing that is making an incredible difference for this community. Collective work has always been the driving factor. This is unfortunately a lesson that we only seem to learn during times of crisis, like war or depression. Nobody values the cook like a soldier in wartime. But it needs to be our ability to value each other when we're not in crisis, to prepare us to handle new crises. I heard one old preacher say it this way: scarcity breeds clarity. When all is stripped away, people are the most valuable asset that each of us have access to. And the work we do in service of our own interest in each other is crucially more valuable than any work that we can do in service to any nation or government or business. From my observation, I have seen over and over again that intentional collectives are miles more effective in meeting the needs of individuals and localities in real time. A community's strength lies in its ability to work toward common goals, shared responsibility, and that shared responsibility enhances collective resilience. So I hope you all have enjoyed this conversation today.
Yes,
this has been like, oh my goodness. Did we go full 2 hours? Which I said that was the new time. I said it. I love this. And use the current market system interest rate to grow our holdings. See, I like that type of talk, Karen. I like that type of talk. And that's really the point. All right. You cannot have community economics without community conversations. You know, we need more conversations. And that's why we do this.
Right.
But don't let this conversation stop here. Jump in the Discord and make sure to continue this conversation. Listen, if you're out there and you've been a part of these sessions for a while and you're thinking about getting connected, this is a good opportunity. We're growing like wildfire. Look at it. It's on the screen, even though that's not the series we're in anymore. But listen, I have not made any media stuff in a while. But I love you all. I always love having you here. If you're interested in joining our community, please let us know in the chat. You can type "I am here" and we'll have somebody chat to make sure to get you in the Discord. We'll get some forms that you can fill out, make you feel all important and special and all that good stuff. Get your information so we can aggravate the fuck out of you. Actually, that's not what we do. We pretty much leave people alone and let community grow organically. We do try to give you as much information as you would like access to help you figure out more about the community and different ways that you can help. But for the most part, you just get involved. You get involved. It's really up to you. Our biggest appeal to everybody is you connect in whatever way that makes sense for you. Now, obviously, the more people that we have getting connected to help actually make significant impact, the better, because that does allow us to accelerate things. But I did want to make sure we're extending that invitation. So if you're ready to take that next step and join our community of progressive thinking, people-centric, and life-affirming people from all across the fucking globe, committed to building community beyond superstition, will you type "I am here" in the chat and we'll get to you. All right, I think that's all I have.
Yes.
Am I done?
Yes. And thank you again for all joining us today and being a part of these community and these conversations. They are helping us all grow as individuals and as a community together. So I hope you got some nuggets in there today. And every week that we do this, we'll be here. I think the next time you'll see Darante live will be 2025.
What is Wednesday?
Wednesday is New Year's Day.
Oh, it's New Year's. Yeah, I'll be on Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's just New Year's Day.
Wednesday is New Year's Day. You put it mad close.
Oh, yeah, because I was getting up.
But we will see you into the new year. I hope you all have a great week. And as you're heading out, if you value these conversations and the work that we are doing into building global community, again, there's so many different ways you can support. If you're not already on Patreon or on a YouTube member, you can become that. Your super chats, your super thanks. We all appreciate that. Purchasing merch, we threw the links in the chat. You can look at the description and find it there, okay? Your tax deductible donations will be used to support the mission in building community beyond superstition, both locally and globally. So as we mentioned earlier, we are planning to travel to different areas if we can make it possible. So if you like to donate specifically for that, for this upcoming year, we're first looking at Raleigh, North Carolina. Go ahead and check out the new merch that's specifically pertaining to that. And you can use the link in the chat, the PayPal link that was put in earlier. to donate specifically for that cause. Also, last week we mentioned that we wanted to pull together for one of our members that we wanted to help out, and thank you for those who have donated to that as well. If you also want to donate to specifically help one of our members continue just to live and to get on a good footing, then please, by all means, you can use the PayPal link. You can Cashapp Darante directly so that we can pile that up and get that over as soon as possible. All right. And so we also have QR codes right here. You can just take your phone, okay, and use that to get to where you need to go. And you can choose community missions, whichever one you want to use to help to support that. So we thank you all. All right. Thank you for listening to me and my husband talk for this long, y'all. But I won't keep you too long. We just appreciate you for being here. Remember, we are growing. I don't know if for whoever's been following since February, he literally just catapulted. So we appreciate you for that. Also, we had the poll. If you didn't answer the poll yet, let us know if this is your first time watching or you are a regular and you're coming back. Okay, you're coming back to be with us, to hang. We appreciate that. If you are new, go ahead and type "I'm new" here in the chat, and we will definitely reach out to you, or one of our team members will reach out to you as well. So thank you also for that. And don't forget to come back in the comments once the live is over. Just type something. You can put hearts. If you see me in Darante chat, I'm just mainly gonna put hearts on the video. Okay, because we gotta do. So I appreciate you commenting on that as well. All right. So thanks again so much. LaMar. I don't know why that popped up. All right. Make sure he's not trying to jump in. But thanks again so much for joining us today. I hope you have a great week. Don't forget to join us on Discord. All right. If you're not a member already. And yeah. And so have a great week, loves. I'm Darnaya Darice, and this is BridgeCity Global. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Enjoy the rest of 2024. Have a great 2025. And we will see you next week. Don't forget, next Sunday is the Ex-Pastor call-in show after Sunday sessions. So that will be 5 p.m. So if you want to call in, have your questions ready, okay? Have your questions ready for us. We definitely appreciate it. And yeah, and we will see you later. Don't forget to be the bridge and to keep rising.
I was living my life in the servitude of misunderstandings of people I loved. Giving it all, it was never enough. Because of the fall, I could never get up. I moved on from their misunderstandings. I am no longer standing under them. I was drowning, now I swim, 'cause I found the strength within. I don't need your absent friend, 'cause I got this, yeah. 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 This is holy ground. Depraved and deprived, I was living your lies. Lost in a moment with truth sacrificed. Voices aplenty that never seen right. Visions, distractions that altered my sight. I moved on from their misunderstandings. I am no longer standing under them.